Okay, so I'm going to walk through your homework for this week for your optimization practice. Okay, so number one, the sum of two numbers is 36. Find the maximum. You know maximum means extrema. And you know extrema come from y prime when it equals 0. So this is a three-step process, nothing crazy, okay? So we have two pieces of information that are going to help us through this, sum and product, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is say A is my first number and B is my second number. And this is a three-step process, just like your quiz will be, okay? So you're going to start with step one, and you're going to make two equations. Okay? So the first equation is going to be using this first sentence. The sum of two numbers is 36. So A plus B equals 36. Fantastic. The next part says find the maximum product of the, okay, so this means you're going to need a derivative, but before that, you're going to have a y equals. This is the equation we're going to take the derivative of. Okay, so the first number, which is A, and, which means that's where you multiply, the square of the second, that's B squared, not square root, the square. So it's going to be A times B squared. All right, so step two is to combine these two equations. You're going to make one equation or combine your two equations. Well, how do we do that, Ms. Freibush? Well, what you do is substitution. So I'm going to pick the simpler equation that doesn't have the y, this guy right here, and I'm going to solve for one of these variables. Now, it is purposeful what we pick. We need to look at this equation and see who's simpler. This has A. A is just A. This has B squared. So whatever I plug in here, I would have to square. That's a little bit more math than I want to be doing. So A is the simpler choice. I could solve for B if I really wanted to, but remember that I would have to square it. So I'm going to solve here for A by moving B over, and this will become A equals, it would be 36 minus B, or negative B plus 36. Because I minus B minus B. So A is equal to this awesomeness here. So when I combine them, I'm going to take this guy here and I'm going to plug in for A. So I'm going to take Y equals, instead of A, I'm going to put this parenthesis, negative B plus 36, and then continue the path times B squared. So this is A, but I replaced it with B. So now I have one less variable than I had before. And now, once I simplify this, I can solve it really nicely by taking the derivative. So I'm going to distribute out this B squared. So Y equals negative B with two more powers will be B cubed. And 36 will get the B squared. Okay, so step three is to solve. So I'm going to take the derivative of this. I want y prime because that is where I get my extrema. So power rule, this 3 comes up front. It's going to be negative 3. B is going to come here. 3 take away 1 power will be negative 3b squared. Plus 2 times 36 is 72. And take away 1b, b. So here's the derivative. Well, great, I have the derivative, but extrema happen when that derivative equals 0. So I'm going to put 0 here. And I have 2b's, so I'm going to have to factor because I'm probably going to have 2 solutions because of this power of 2 as well. So I would love this to just be a b, so I would have to take out a negative 3 and a b, which goes into 72, and this b. So if I divide this by -3, they would cancel out. And b with 2 powers divided by b with 1 power would be b with 1 power. And then a negative and a positive, I need this to be a negative. 72 divided by -3 would be what? 24. And then the b's cancel out. Everywhere you have a letter, you have a solution. So one of my solutions is going to be 24. It's easy to see, opposite sign. And anytime there's a letter up front, it's 0. So then I look at these two answers, and 0 is standing out like a sore thumb because I want the product. If I'm going to put 0 in here, this is going to become 0. So 0 is not a good choice for me because that would not give me the maximum product. 24 is my lovely B. If 24 is B, I can come and plug it in here to find out what A is. A will equal -24 plus 36, which will give me 12 for my A. And there I have my two numbers, 12 and 24. All right, let's do the area one. A farmer has 600 feet of fencing. That's important. That is perimeter. Perimeter is the fencing. It's the framing. It's the around. And he wants to enclose pens for his animals in a rectangular shape. Maximum. We're going to have a y equation because y prime equals 0 will give me my extrema area. So we're going to have two equations just like we did here. This was sum and product. Now we're going to do perimeter and area, which is still sum and product when you think about it. Okay, so I have a picture. First thing I did up here is say A is one side, B is the other. Same idea here. I'm going to just say A is here, and there are 4 vertical lines. B is going to be this little shape that connects them. There's 3 on top and 3 on bottom. There's 6 of them. So A are my lengths of each pen, and B are my widths of each pen. So still step 1, make 2 equations. My first equation is going to be perimeter. My second one is going to be area. So perimeter, I got to look here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 A's. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 B's. Oops, B. And that is going to make up that 600 feet of fencing. Because I would put a fence here, a fence here, a fence here, etc. My second equation is my area. Oy. Area would be length times width. Length is A, width is 1, 2, 3 B's. So it would be A times 3B. Or I could say AB once, AB twice, because A times B is AB, A times B is AB, A times B is AB. There's 1, 2, 3 of them. Either way you do it, your area is going to be, which I'm trying to maximize, so that's why it's y, so I can take its derivative, 3 times AB, or A times 3B, which is still 3AB. Okay, so now you have to choose if you want to solve for A or solve for B. Naturally, I gravitated toward B because 600 divides nicely by 6. 4, I believe, goes into it, but I know 6 does, so I chose this one. So the first thing I'm going to do here is solve for B. So to do that, 4A plus 6B equals 600, I'm going to minus 4A from both sides. These cancel. 6B equals negative 4A plus 600. I'm going to divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6 to everybody to keep it even. So B will equal negative 2/3 A. Ms. Freibush just simplified that, plus 100. All right, here are my 2 equations from step 1. Step 2 is going to be to combine these. So I'm going to plug this in for B. So y will equal 3A times, instead of B, negative 2/3 A plus 100. So this came down, this came down, this came over instead. Now I'm going to distribute this out. Y will equal 3a times this awesomeness. The 3's will cancel out, and the -2 and A is a squared. 3a times 100 is simply 300a. So this is the simplified two equations combined to one. So here's the two equations, here's the simplified, that is one. Now I want to take the derivative, it's the same process. 2 times -2 is -4a, and here it will just be 300. Now this, I had a squared and a non-squared, I had more than one b. Here I just have one a, so I'm going to set it equal to 0. And I could factor out a -4, I could totally do that. Or I could move the 4a here. It's going to be the same process. I'm taking that 300 divided by the 4. And that will give me 75. Okay, so A is 75. Good times. Now I have to find B. So where is, oh, here. This guy here with the parentheses. I look where the parenthesis is. So I'm going to take this parenthesis over here. I have more room. B is going to equal -2/3 times A plus 100. I'm going to use substitution again. He was who I substituted. Now he's who I'm substituting in. And I'm going to put 75 in here. So 75 divided by 3 is 25 times -2 is -50. And again, you could do that in your calculator. B is 50. So find the maximum amount of, find the maximum area he can enclose given these qualifications. I'm actually going to multiply them together to find the area. And I'm going to get, what is that? I got to put this in my calculator. Give me 1 second. 75 times 50 is, let me try that again. 75 times 50 is 3,750 per each pen. And if I did that times 3, the whole thing would be 11,250 in each 3,750 pen. This is your homework. Your quiz is identical to it, just a couple different measurements and numbers. You got this.